Yo, what's up guys, Insane Game Freak here. You might call this a flurry of One Piece videos, at least in the sense of me recording them, because this will be the first out of 2 One Piece videos I will be recording. This first video is kind of answering to a request that someone sent me. Someone wanted me to talk about the Revolutionaries, and I do realize that it's one of those things that we should talk about, purely because there's a lot of shit surrounding it, and plus that it deals with Luffy's family lineage for a lot of reasons. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my thoughts on Revolutionaries and kind of my theories and shit. And please leave your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Let's get into it. Alright, so there's a few things about the Revolutionaries we know. We know that Luffy's father, Monkey D. Dragon, is the leader. We know Eva is a revolutionary. We know Kuma is a revolutionary. And we also know that Robin spent 2 years with the Revolutionaries. That was her quote-unquote training place. Now, there's a lot of things about this that's weird as hell. Honestly, the first thing would be, what the fuck is the motive for the Revolutionaries? Personally, for me, I would probably suspect that they're kind of trying to become the New World Order of the New World. And I know that seems like, and you wouldn't, I mean, and the reason why I say that is because if they were just trying to uphold justice, then they would be Marines, and if they were just being dicks and just plundering and shit, they would be pirates. They're not. They're revolutionaries. And the fact that the word revolution is in their name, it's just kind of like, something tells me you're trying to become the new world power in the new world. Like, you're trying to reform the way justice works. The other reason why I have that kind of theory is because Dragon has only been shown like maybe 3 or 4 times, and as far as him interacting with other characters that aren't revolutionaries, which would be Sabo, and then when he was interacting with Smoker. Well, the reasoning for interacting with Smoker was obviously to save his son. Interacting with Sabo, I feel like it's kind of a hint towards what kind of character Dragon's gonna be. Dragon's that character who hates the way he's probably the dude who hates the way like the people of Mary Joa are. He hates the fucking Tenryubitos and how the fucking celestial dragons are. Which is probably why he's just kind of like, you know what, fuck these dudes. And as some tells me, it's not as simple as, I mean, honestly, we don't really get really deep and intellectual backstory for every fucking character. We get like a minor backstory for some. For Dragon, I expect that to be something pretty extensive, because I'm pretty sure it's going to lead into a lot of other things. Because I'm pretty sure Dragon was a pirate first and then became a revolutionary. And now mind you, this is kind of a stretch. Oda's never really done this before, which is why he may do it for Dragon. I think maybe something with Luffy's mother is probably related to the reason why he's a revolutionary and not a pirate. That's just my theory. That's kind of part of my reasoning for the Revolutionaries. Now, in terms of the Revolutionaries and their importance to the story itself, I'm pretty sure the Revolutionaries are going to be the driving force behind the second half. Like, the war in the first half happened between Whitebeard and pretty much the Marines in general. I think the war for the second half is really going to be between the Marines and the Revolutionaries. But it's not going to be one of those wars where you can't not be involved. Especially because it's probably going to be a war that takes place in the New World. But at the same time, it brings up a question, because if it was really a war that was going to take place, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a war that takes place on the Marine home base like the first one did. I think it'll probably take place on the Revolutionary home base, because as they mentioned in the time skip, the Marines home base is literally on the red line. Like, literally, they're closer to the, like, when the Straw Hats were about to go to Fishman Island, they were closer to the home base of fucking the Marines then than they are now. So something tells me it's gonna switch roles, essentially, like Revolutionaries versus Marines on Revolutionary home base, and the winner of that, as Don Flamingo said in the other war, will be justice. and the whole thing is, and the other question you can bring up is how is Luffy gonna react when he runs into his father? Because I don't even think he knows he doesn't know what his father looks like, meaning his memories only really relate to like Makino and Whoop Slap. Like, I don't think he remembers like his parents at all. The only family member he seems to know of is like his grandfather, meaning his dad and his mom probably weren't around. It also brings up the question what kind of person his mom was. Now, I know this is getting into more of Monkey D. Luffy's history than anything else, but I mean, his father leads the Revolutionaries, so I have to say that's a part of it. I'm thinking his mom was probably, I'm thinking it probably was a very weird correlation, because he doesn't, Garp doesn't talk about his son, like, fondly. He doesn't go, oh, your father was a great man. But he doesn't seem to be angry at his son either. So I guess I would say that probably his mother was some type of, I would laugh if Luffy's mom was like the dumb one, because Dragon doesn't have that fucking goofy sense that like Luffy and Garp have. So something tells me Luffy's mom is probably the one that has like most of Luffy's traits. Like Luffy gets most of his traits from his mom, and his dad has just like his overbearing seriousness when he gets serious. At least that's what I view, because I don't think they're going to make Dragon look like a goofball. I mean, he's been shown to be a badass. I mean, Shanks has that, but it's not to that degree. But getting back to the Revolutionaries, because, I mean, we can also bring up the whole thing with Robin. It's like, you spent 2 years with the Revolutionaries, yet you don't mention anything to Luffy about his father. Now, Robin isn't really the type to keep that kind of secrets away, but at the same time, Robin has also been known to be very sneaky. So I guess you could make the argument that maybe she knows something about his dad. Because it would be weird as hell if she spent 2 years with Revolutionaries and only hung and never saw Dragon. But then again, Dragon is very fucking elusive. I mean, hell, there's only been a few people who've actually seen who Dragon is. So you could make that argument. Plus, we don't know if that dude has a devil fruit power, which I believe he does. What the devil fruit power is, a lot of people think he's a dragon, which is, I don't know, it just seems really obvious. Just way too fucking obvious. I mean, that's like saying, yeah, Ivankov. Ivankov, you wouldn't have guessed his whole thing would have been hormones. So it's kind of like I don't know. Yeah, it really just depends. But at the, I kind of want to make the argument that Robin probably didn't meet Dragon. She probably met other revolutionaries, and she probably realized the Dragon is in that group of revolutionaries. But maybe she didn't meet Dragon. But then again, that probably would be a gang. It's like, oh yeah, I met your father like 2 years ago. I don't know, it can kind of go either way. It really can. If she did meet Dragon, it kind of brings up the question, what the fuck they talked about. And some tells me it probably was, I'm pretty sure when Luffy runs into Dragon, it's going to be more of that, I want you to become a revolutionary with me. I want you to follow, like, because I feel like revolutionaries are going to have like that, their own sense of justice. And Luffy's going to be like, no, Dad, fuck you, I'm not becoming some bullshit sense of justice. It's going to be the same thing as Whitebeard. We don't necessarily agree, but because you're my son and because we're cool, I'm going to back you up. Somehow I feel like he's going to end up fighting his father too. I have like this innate suspicion that he's going to fight his dad. And I also have, and as I said, I have this innate suspicion with his whole backstory that something happened to Luffy's mother that caused him to become a revolutionary and stop becoming just a pirate. Because usually characters who are not like considered pirates or marines have some other underlying motive. It's kind of like how Virgo's a fucking marine, but really he's just an agent of Joker. Same thing for Monet. Well, no, actually not the same thing because Monet is not a marine. But you get my whole point. So usually characters have their own set of reasoning for why they want to become certain things. Now in terms of as I said, I believe they're probably going to be one of the clashing forces at the end. In terms of everything else, though, like, what have they been doing this entire time? I'm not totally sure. Because something tells me just building up forces, which is probably what they have been doing. And it also brings, and I guess we should talk about it, why the fuck Ivankov is a revolutionary, and why the fuck Kuma was a revolutionary. And that's actually the other thing with Kuma in general, because it's just like, Kuma, are you still considered a revolutionary, or did you stop being a revolutionary? And what was your reasoning before? Because something tells me that when we get the history of Kuma, we're going to indirectly get history to some of the revolutionary shit anyway. Because it's like, how did you go from like this gentle giant kind of motherfucker who goes between revolutionaries and working for the Marines, as if those things don't go hand in hand? And they obviously don't, because if he was just a Marine, then why the fuck was he even considered revolutionary? Why was he helping the Straw Hats? Was he helping the Straw Hats under Dragon's order? Or was he helping the Straw Hats because of a different reason? I mean, revolutionists are kind of like in between the roles. Like, they don't necessarily follow the rules of all pirates, but at the same time, they definitely don't follow the rules of Marines and shit. They obviously have something against the Marines. But even Dragon didn't try to start a fight with Smoker. He was just kind of like, you're not going to hurt my son. That's all he did. He just stopped the nigga from hurting his son. And Kuma didn't go out of his way to beat the shit out of the Straw Hats. He just sent them flying. He could have easily just killed them. Both times, actually. He could have killed him and threw the bark, and he could have killed him and fucking... he could have killed him and threw the bark, and he could have killed him with Saboni. But he decided, no, we're gonna send them away. Because I know Dragon probably has plans for them. You can't just keep helping out the crew. And it's like my mom wants to go, that he wants to do it just for Luffy, but they're like, it's like saying Yasop wants to protect his son. Yeah. I wonder how his relationship is with, like, the Yonko. Like, does Dragon talk to any of the... Does he have any type of relationship with any of the warlords of the Yonko? Because Dragon's one of those characters that doesn't seem to have relations with anybody. Now, mind you, he could be like how Hancock is with the other Shishibukai who doesn't fucking talk to anyone. But if you're going to be a revolutionary, you're in this sense of power, and you got fucking Kuma. You have Kuma, who was a fucking warlord, on your crew. And you have Eva, who was well, in her own right, his, I don't fucking know. Which also brings up the question, why the fuck would Ivankov want to become a revolutionary? I mean, obviously they have a history together. And same thing, and it also brings up the question, what the fuck does Crocodile have to do with that? Because Crocodile obviously has some type of relation to Ivankov. And some tells me that Crocodile might be originally a woman. I know that seems really sketchy, and there's a whole bunch of random theories I'm throwing out at this point, but there's either he went through the same shit as Sanji, meaning that he was like this fucking man who kind of went through a transvestite phase, or he was a woman once. It's one of those two things. And I'm betting more of the woman turning into a man thing, purely just because it would explain his apprehension from that not being mentioned as a fact. He doesn't necessarily, he's not, now mind you, Crocodile's never really been shown to be sexist, but he doesn't necessarily act like he gives a shit about how strong women are to begin with, so I think it's probably the transvestite or he was a woman. I mean, obviously those two have a relationship, and something probably tells me he indirectly knows Dragon too, but that also brings up the question if Ivankov was fucking with Dragon when Crocodile was around. I mean, I think the age, there's a lot of logistics involved, honestly. And the thing is, we don't know about that many revolutionaries. We only know 3: Kuma, Ivankov, and Dragon. And all 3 of those characters are fairly new, except for Kuma. But Kuma doesn't fucking do exposition shit that much, so we don't really know too much. We know he has some relation to Vegapunk, which brings up the question, if Vegapunk knew that he was a revolutionary. I don't think the Marines did, because he whispered it into Rayleigh's ear. But that also brings up the question, that means Rayleigh knows Kuma is a revolutionary, and he knows other revolutionaries, meaning that he probably has some correlation to Gold Roger. Just saying, there's a lot of ridiculous shit. Now mind you, the revolutionary stuff could have happened after Gold Roger died. But the fact that Rayleigh knows of the revolutionaries, because it was like, oh, he's a revolutionary. It's like, you have to know of the revolutionary for Kuma to just be like, hey, yeah, the revolutionaries and shit. Like, either that happened before Roger died, or that happened after. It happened somewhere in that between thing, like right before he died, or like fucking right after. It really just depends on when Dragon came into power. I'll probably make the argument it probably happened after Roger died, purely just because Dragon didn't come into power probably until after the whole Pirate Age started. And it's been around, I think, for years, like decades and shit now. So, it's very convoluted. That also probably means that Dragon's probably tried to recruit Rayleigh or something. I mean, we only know a few of Roger's crewmen. And we don't know how many of those crewmen are still doing pirate shit, or are they dicking around like Rayleigh, or what? You know, there's a lot of hidden agenda bullshit we gotta deal with. And not even that. It's like, which characters... And something tells me that maybe even fucking Don Flamingo has some type of relation to one of these characters. Why? Because he's known as like the black market dealer. You can't be known as a black market dealer and not deal with everybody. You're going to deal with everybody. I mean, Doflamingo's not considered a Yonko, but he's considered pretty high rank, period, as a Shichibukai, so something tells me he has something to deal with this shit. There's too little information on Revolutionaries to have like a ridiculous, full, detailed discussion. All this is a whole bunch of fucking theories. There's a lot of theories with just every character, and I kind of really want to address the Robin one, and not because of the Robin fanboy thing, but just because you spent 2 years with Revolutionaries. Who the fuck did you meet? And that bothers me, regardless, even if you didn't meet Dragon. I still want to know who you met. Now, mind you, none of them are really talking about, like, in full detail what the fuck they were doing. Like, even Chopper didn't go into detail about the fucking, the native tribe he was hanging with. I mean, we've heard, like, random vague things, but they don't really seem to conversate about what they were doing for 2 years. I mean, obviously, you have the rage shit with fucking Sanji and the Amazon Lily chicks, but, like, none of them really go into deep detail. And I feel like it's going to be one of those things that as shit happens, we'll get to see it. So I'm thinking when Robin gets put in that situation and the Revolutionaries re-show up in the manga, we'll get some hints of what the fuck she was dealing with at the time, which, you know, in a sense is cool and I'm excited and I can't wait, but it's infuriating as fuck because, as I said, I just can't fucking wait. It's one of those, it really, I don't know, Revolutionaries is like one of the hardest topics to touch because it's like, you're really basing this shit on 3 characters that you've seen and then their correlation to other characters. Kuma has like very little relation to like other characters. The only 2 I can honestly say off the top of my head is he has some relation to Rayleigh and he has some relation to Eva. And apparently those 2 are boys because Eva treats him like a friend. Probably meaning Eva's known Kuma before he was a fucking cyborg person. Just saying. Eva has only one other correlation we know of, which is essentially the fucking myth that Bon Clay knew about him, and then the fact that he has some relation to Crocodile. That's not enough to go on, but we know it's there, and the Crocodile shit doesn't really go that far, because obviously Crocodile has nothing to do with Eva after a point. We just know that something in Crocodile's past is correlated with Eva, and it's something that Crocodile wouldn't want people to know about. Which, as I honestly believe, it might be him using to be a woman. Just saying. Either the woman thing or the transvestite thing. It's one of those 2 things, or it could even be weirder than that Eva raised him for a while or some shit. Because the Crocodile's obviously younger than Eva. I know that much. I'm actually really interested in the Crocodile-Eva relationship purely just because I want to know. A lot of people have made this obvious one that he probably was a transvestite. Because Sanji doesn't bring that up. He just cries about it and freaks out. So I think he used to be a woman. It probably was something that he chose to do, but he's still not necessarily proud of being reminded of it. I don't know. It might be something deeper than that. But that's really almost all the theories I have. The only other person I could probably make it some type of relation to is maybe, and this is me pushing it. This is like complete almost bullshit, no point behind it theory here. Maybe Drake, maybe X-Drake, and I'm bringing him up again because of the whole Marine thing. I mean, he was a high-ranking Marine. He wasn't like a fucking grunt. I believe he was a vice admiral. So, and the reason why I say that is because it's the same thing. He's that same kind of character who probably was like in the Marines and then was shown a whole bunch of shit that just made him go, no, fuck this, I'm not doing this no more. And something tells me, I'm pretty sure some of the supernovas have something to do with the Revolutionaries. I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know. We don't know why fucking Law broke up with the Joker. We don't know why him and Doflamingo aren't on good terms, but he still reps a variation of his mark, mind you. It's not like it's a change in variation. But now I'm getting way off topic, so I'm going to stop. There's a lot of things, and I'll sit here all day rambling, so that is essentially everything I have to say on the Revolutionaries off the top of my head. Please leave your thoughts and comments and the theories in the comment section below. And for those who don't know why I'm bringing up the Ivankov Crocodile stuff, it was mentioned in Impel Down that there's a history with those 2. Just throwing out there for people who forgot. But that's essentially it. As far as the Sabo theory, which I'm pretty sure someone's going to be mad that I didn't bring up, if he's there, he's fucking there. I mean, really, that's what it boils down to. If Sabo is still alive, he's probably a revolutionary. Period. Like, no bullshit. that's the only thing I can see him doing based on his backstory. Sabo's either dead or revolutionary. One of the other two. So we don't see him as a revolutionary, he's fucking dead. That's just to me. To me, I don't believe that's the only, unless he's like fucking Obito and he transcended evil for some bullshit. But we'll see. So please tell me your thoughts, comments in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the support. Life's a game, play to win, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.